The Silent Attack, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The human cargo ship Aurora drifted quietly through deep space. Its engines hummed softly, carrying food, medicine, and supplies to a distant colony. For the crew, it was supposed to be just another routine journey. The captain, Elias Carter, stood by the viewing window, watching the endless stars. His crew laughed behind him, playing cards and telling stories. Space felt calm, almost peaceful. But in the dark, something was waiting. Hidden behind the shadow of an asteroid field, ships of the Haelor Empire watched with cold eyes. Their commander, Lord Vaer, sneered at the fragile human vessel. Pathetic, he said to his officers. These humans think they can fly across our space without permission. We will teach them respect. Fire when ready. The order was given. Without warning, streaks of plasma fire ripped across the void. The Aurora's shields lit up for a moment, then shattered. The first blast struck the engines, sending the ship spinning. Alarms screamed. Crew members were thrown against the walls. What's happening? One shouted. Captain Carter gripped the rail, his jaw tight. We're under attack. Everyone to positions. Another blast tore through the cargo bay, spilling containers into space. A firestorm erupted inside the ship. The crew rushed to put it out, but the Haelor ships showed no mercy. They circled like wolves, firing again and again. The human vessel shook violently. Oxygen began leaking. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Still, the captain stood tall, refusing to let fear take control. On the bridge, the communication officer shouted, "Sir, long-range comms are failing. We can't send a full distress call." Carter's eyes narrowed. He knew this was no random attack. The Haelors wanted humans to be afraid. They wanted to crush Earth's spirit before it could rise. He leaned close to the comms console and spoke slowly, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. "Signal Earth. One phrase only. Tell them they fired first." The officer nodded, fingers flying across the controls. A short, encrypted pulse shot into the void, racing toward Earth. It was small, almost invisible, but strong enough to carry the message. Back outside, the Haelor commander laughed as he watched the human ship break apart. "Look at them," Lord Vaer said. "One strike and they fall like insects. Humans are weak. Their world will kneel soon enough." But inside the Aurora, the fight was not over. The crew worked desperately, sealing doors, rerouting power. Flames burned along the walls. Smoke filled the air. Every breath became harder. Still, no one gave up. The pilot, hands trembling, managed to bring the ship's nose forward. "Captain, we can ram them," he whispered. Carter shook his head. "Not yet. We already gave them what they fear most." The pilot looked confused. "What's that?" Carter's eyes burned with determination. "The truth. That they attacked us first. That humans will remember. And when Earth answers, the galaxy will learn what it means to cross us." The ship groaned as another plasma bolt struck the hull. The viewing glass cracked. Darkness bled into the bridge. The captain stood tall, shoulders squared, even as destruction closed around him. His last words to his crew were steady and clear. "Stay strong. Humanity never dies easy." Moments later, the Aurora was swallowed in fire. The Haelor ships drifted away, satisfied, believing the humans had been silenced forever. But far across the stars, a faint signal reached Earth's defense network. A single message repeated again and again. They fired first. And with those words, the fate of the galaxy began to change. Asterisk, the message reaches Earth, HFY Sci-Fi Story. In the silence of Earth's orbit, the defense network scanned the stars as it always did. Satellites circled the planet, listening for signals, checking for threats. For years, Nothing unusual had been found. Until that night, a young operator named Daniel Reed sat at his console, sipping cold coffee. His screen suddenly blinked with a strange signal. At first, he thought it was static, but then he froze. The message repeated again and again. They fired first. Daniel's heart raced. The signal was weak, damaged by distance, but it was clear enough. His hands shook as he pulled up the source code. It came from the cargo ship Aurora, a ship that was supposed to arrive at a colony 2 days ago. He pressed his headset. "Control, I have something." It's not possible, but you need to see this." Within minutes, military officers filled the command room. Screens replayed. The broken signal. They fired first. They fired first. Over and over. General Marcus Hall, a man known for his steel-hard face, leaned forward. His eyes narrowed as he listened. "Origin confirmed?" "Yes, sir," Daniel stammered. "Straight from the Aurora before it was destroyed." The room went silent. Everyone knew what it meant. The Haelor Empire had not just threatened humanity. They had fired on them. They had crossed the line. General Halley stood tall, his voice echoing. "Get me the High Council, now." In the heart of Earth, inside a fortress of glass and steel, the Terran High Council gathered. Leaders, admirals, and scientists filled the chamber. The air was heavy with anger. On the central screen, the message played again. They fired first. Admiral Sophia Kane clenched her fists. This was no accident. The Haelors chose to attack. An unarmed vessel. They wanted to send us a message that we are weak. The President of Earth, Elena Ward, turned slowly toward the council. Her voice was calm, but sharp as a blade. "And we must answer with our own message, one the galaxy will never forget." Murmurs spread across the room. Some argued for caution. Others demanded war. But no one could ignore the fire in the people's hearts. Across Earth, news of the Aurora's destruction spread fast. Families wept for the crew. Workers stopped in factories. Miners in the asteroid belt threw down their tools and demanded justice. On every screen, on every street, citizens whispered the same words. They fired first. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. That time was over. In a dark hangar, deep beneath the oceans, an old warship came to life. Its name was Defiance. Built in secret, hidden from alien eyes, it had waited for a day just like this. Engineers swarmed over its hull, activating systems, powering weapons, preparing it for battle. Its black armor gleamed under floodlights. Captain Adrian Cole, chosen to lead the mission, stood on the deck. He watched as the ship rumbled awake, like a beast long asleep. An officer approached him. "Sir, orders from command. Defiance is to strike first. The Haelors believe we are weak. We will show them their mistake." Cole gave a small nod, his jaw tight. He looked at the massive screens displaying the faces of the Aurora's crew, men and women who had died screaming in the dark. His voice was low but firm. They didn't die for nothing. The galaxy will remember them. Back in the council chamber, President Ward gave the final order. Send word to every colony, every fleet, every soldier. Humanity does not kneel. The Haelors wanted a fight. She paused, her eyes cold as ice. Then a fight they shall have. The chamber erupted. Some cheered, some prayed, but no one doubted what was coming. That night, the sky above Earth lit up with movement. Ships launched from hidden docks. Weapons factories glowed like furnaces. Old war machines, silent for years, were prepared once again, and in the shadows, across the galaxy, spies and informants whispered a new fear. The humans were moving. Humans were preparing for war. Far away, in the Haelor capital, Lord Vair received the first reports of Earth's reaction. He laughed, waving them away. Humans? They are traders, farmers, colonists. They are not warriors. But one of his advisors shifted nervously. My lord, if the humans rise, if they truly unite, they could be dangerous. Lord Vair smirked. Dangerous? No, they will be crushed before they even take their first step. He turned away, confident, blind to the storm that was coming. On Earth, the final broadcast of the night played across every screen. President Ward's voice thundered across the stars. To the Haelor Empire, hear our words. You struck first. You thought us weak, but humanity remembers. And humanity never forgives. A roar of approval swept across the planet, and as the stars burned above, one truth was clear. The Haelors had awakened something they could not control. Asterisk. Shadows in the Void, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The warship Defiance left Earth in silence. No parades, no music, only shadows. Its black hull swallowed light, designed to hide in the endless dark. Captain Adrian Cole stood at the command deck. The screens showed only the stars' thousands of cold lights, stretching forever. His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. We are not here for glory, he said to his crew. We are here for justice. The Aurora's crew deserves more than silence. Tonight, the Haelors learn what it means to wake humanities. Anger. The crew nodded. No one spoke. Their hands moved quickly, readying weapons, cloaking fields, and silent drives. The Defiance became a ghost ship, invisible to normal sensors. Far across the void, a Haelor outpost drifted near the trade lanes. Its officers were relaxed, drinking and laughing. They thought humans were too weak to ever strike back. One young Haelor soldier, however, stared nervously at the radar. A shadow flickered on the edge of the screen, then vanished. Commander, something moved, he said. The commander laughed. It's a ghost. Humans have no ships out here. But the shadow was real. The Defiance crept closer, moving without sound. The Haelors never saw it coming. Inside the human ship, silence filled the bridge. The target outpost rotated slowly on the screen. Captain Cole raised his hand. Armed torpedoes. No warning. No mercy. The crew obeyed. Tubes glowed as warheads. Locked on, the ship hummed like a predator ready to strike. Cole lowered his hand. Fire. A streak of light shot through the dark. Then another. And another. Seconds later, the Haelor outpost lit up in fire. Explosions ripped through its walls, tearing metal apart. Soldiers screamed as alarms rang. Their defenses never had a chance. The young Haelor who had seen the shadow shouted, "It's the humans! The humans are here!" But no reply came. The next blast destroyed the control room, cutting his voice forever. Back on the Defiance, the crew watched in silence as the outpost burned. One officer whispered, "No survivors, Captain." Cole's eyes were cold. Good. Let the galaxy see, we are not prey. We are hunters. Word of the attack spread quickly. Other Haelor outposts reported hearing strange signals before losing contact. Patrols disappeared without trace. Fleets searched, but found nothing. Rumors grew. Haelor. Soldiers whispered about a human ship that moved like a phantom, striking in the night and vanishing before anyone could react. They called it the Shadow Beast. In bars, in barracks, in palaces, one question echoed. Have you heard? The humans are coming. But in the Haelor capital, Lord Vair dismissed the fear. Cowards, he said. One outpost means nothing. The humans cannot match our empire. They have only one ship. We have thousands. Yet even as he spoke, another report arrived. A second outpost gone. Then a third. Lord Vair's smile faded. On Earth, the Terran High Council listened to the first. Recordings from the Defiance. Explosions. Haelor screams. Silence. Admiral Kane leaned forward, her voice sharp. This is only the beginning. If one ship can do this much, imagine what our fleets can do. President Ward nodded slowly. The galaxy thinks humans are weak. We will show them our strength. But we must be careful. Fear grows fastest in the us. Dark, let the Haelors tremble. Do not give them open war yet. Not until they beg for it. On the Defiance, Captain Cole looked at the faces of his crew. Tired, but determined. Every strike made them stronger. Every mission reminded them of the Aurora's last signal. They fired first. He stood tall, his voice carrying across the ship. They thought we would hide. They thought we would beg. Instead, we strike from the shadows. Remember this moment, because history will write it in fire. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. The crew answered as one, their voices rising in the dark. Humanity does not forgive. As the Defiance slipped once more into the black, the stars seemed to hold their breath, and somewhere in the silence of space, the Haelors finally understood. A truth too late. The humans were no longer the hunted. They were the hunters. Asterisk. The trap is set. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The Haelor Empire had grown restless. Outposts burned. Patrols vanished. Rumors spread faster than fire. Everywhere, soldiers whispered about the human ghost ship that struck from the dark. Lord Vaer, furious, gathered his war council. This ends now. Find the human vessel and crush it. Show the galaxy that the Haelors bow to no one. Admirals nodded quickly, eager to please. They ordered fleets to sweep the trade lanes. Hundreds of ships spread across space, searching for one shadow, but the Defiance was already 3 steps ahead. On board the human warship, Captain Adrian Cole studied the star maps. His officers gathered around the table. A holographic image of the Haelor fleet glowed red. They're moving fast, said Lieutenant Harris. If they corner us, we won't survive. Cole's eyes narrowed. Then we don't let them corner us. We make them chase us straight into our trap. The room went silent. What trap? One officer asked. Cole tapped the map. A lonely star system appeared. Its planets were broken, scarred by ancient wars. Asteroid fields stretched for millions of kilometers. The system was unstable, full of debris and radiation storms. The Haelors know this system, Cole said. They avoid it, too dangerous. Which is why they'll never expect us to use it. He leaned closer, voice cold. We'll hide mines in the asteroid belt. We'll rig the rocks with charges. Then we'll lure their fleet inside. The moment they enter, he slammed his hand on the table. We close the trap. Preparation began at once. The Defiance moved silently, dropping cloaked mines among the asteroids. Engineers disguised them as space debris. Drones worked, quickly placing charges deep inside unstable rocks. Every asteroid became a weapon. Every shadow hid death. The crew worked without rest. They knew the risk. If even one mine was discovered, the plan would fail, but no one wavered. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Now it was time to teach the galaxy a lesson. Days later, the trap was ready. The Haelor fleet, more than 60 ships strong, moved toward the system. Their sensors tracked faint human signals. They smelled blood. Humans cannot run forever, a Haelor admiral sneered. When they are cornered, they will kneel. But as their fleet entered the asteroid belt, the shadows seemed to close around them. On the Defiance, Captain Cole stood tall. His crew waited in silence. Every hand hovered over the controls. The Haelors were moving deeper, unaware of the danger. Cole's voice was low, steady. Not yet. Let them think they have us. The Haelor ships pushed forward, weapons hot. On? Their screens, A faint signal appeared, the Defiance, pretending to be damaged. "There!" shouted a Haelor officer. "We've found them." The fleet surged ahead. Victory seemed close, but as the first ship passed through the field of hidden mines, Cole whispered one word: "Now." The void exploded. Asteroids shattered as hidden charges detonated. Mines burst like stars, ripping through Haelor hulls. Whole ships split apart, torn in half before they could react. The fleet panicked. Their formation broke. Captains shouted, sensors screamed, but it was too late. Every rock became shrapnel. Every direction became death. And then, out of the chaos, the Defiance appeared. Its cannons roared, tearing into the survivors. Plasma fire lit the dark like lightning. On one Haelor flagship, Admiral Sarth screamed orders. "Shields up! Shields up!" But the shields failed under the storm. A mine tore through their engines. Flames consumed the bridge. The Admiral's last thought was not of victory, but of fear. Fear of humans. On the Defiance, the crew watched, in awe as enemy ships burned. One officer whispered, "Sir, we just destroyed half their fleet." Cole's eyes were hard as steel. "Not half. Soon it will be all." He raised his hand. "Press the attack. Leave none alive." Hours later, the battlefield was silent. Only wreckage drifted among the asteroids. 60 Haelor ships had entered. Fewer than 10 limped away, broken and scarred. The Defiance did not chase them. It didn't need to. They would carry the story back to the Empire. The humans had turned. The void itself into a weapon. Back on Earth, news of the trap spread like wildfire. People cheered in the streets. Workers raised their fists. Soldiers sang in their barracks. For the first time in history, humanity had not just survived. They had struck fear into the heart of an empire. In the Haelor capital, Lord Vaer raged. He shattered a glass against the wall. "Impossible!" He shouted. "They are insects. How can they fight like this?" But deep inside, even he felt it, the cold weight of fear. The humans had drawn first blood, and they were just getting started. Fire across the stars. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The trap in the asteroid field changed everything. The Haelor fleet was shattered. The survivors limped home with broken hulls and broken pride. Across the Empire, whispers grew louder. The humans cannot be stopped. On Earth, the news spread like lightning. Cities erupted in cheers. Screens showed footage of burning Haelor ships drifting lifeless in space. For the first time in generations, humanity felt powerful. Not as prey, not as outcasts, but as hunters. President Ward stood before the council. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned. They wanted us silent. They wanted us broken. Instead, we have shown them fire. This war will not be fought only by Earth. Every colony, every shipyard, every miner in the belt together, we rise. Her words carried across every human world. From Mars to Titan, from the floating cities of Venus to the far colonies in Proxima. People answered. Workshops turned into armories. Cargo ships were refitted into warcraft. Old freighters became carriers. Colonies that once feared the Haelors now swore to fight them. Humanity was no longer just one planet. It was a rising storm, but the Haelors did not sit idle. Lord Vaer summoned his remaining admirals. His voice thundered across the hall. "These humans dare to defy us? Then we burn their colonies. We shatter their worlds. We crush their spirit." He raised his fist. "Send fire across the stars." The Haelor fleets moved quickly. They struck human colonies with ruthless fury. Stations fell, cities burned. Thousands died in a single night. But this time, humanity did not weep. They fought. Back, on Titan, Haelor troops stormed the domed city of Erebos. They expected fear. Instead, They found civilians armed with rifles, miners with explosives, engineers with makeshift weapons. A Haelor captain sneered, "You think rocks and sticks will stop us?" An old miner lit a charge, eyes blazing. Not rocks, not sticks. Humanity. The explosion tore through the invaders. The city rose behind him, screaming one word, freedom. Everywhere, resistance burned. On Mars, Haelors tried to seize the shipyards, but human pilots fought like demons, ramming damaged fighters into enemy cruisers just to bring them down. On the Proxima colony, farmers with hunting rifles ambushed. Armored patrols vanishing into the forests before they could be caught. On Earth itself, millions volunteered, ready to defend the homeworld with their last breath. Back on the Defiance, Captain Adrian Cole received the reports. His crew listened, in silence. Each message carried pain, but also hope. Titan holds. Mars resists. Proxima fights back. Cole's jaw tightened. The fire is spreading. The Haelors wanted to break us, but they've only woken the storm. Lieutenant Harris leaned forward. "Sir, the Haelors will double their efforts. They'll come with everything." Cole's eyes burned like steel. "Then we give them everything." Across the galaxy, other species began to notice. For centuries, they had lived under Haelor domination. They had obeyed, fearing the Empire's fleets. But now, something strange was happening. A merchant ship from the Draven Confederacy carried a whisper home. The humans destroyed 60 Haelor ships. A Chi, smuggler from the Lyran tribes, told his people, "The humans fight like shadows, like storms." A refugee from a burned colony begged her leaders. The humans stood when no one else would. Shouldn't we stand too? Slowly, silently, the idea spread. Maybe the Haelors were not invincible. Maybe the Empire could bleed Dot in the Haelor capital. Lord Vaer stared at the burning fleet reports. His admirals stood in silence, afraid to speak. "Every battle we win costs us," one finally whispered. "And every battle they lose only makes them stronger." Lord Vaer's claws dug into the throne. His eyes narrowed. "Then we will not fight them like soldiers. We will hunt them like vermin, find their leaders, find this defiance, and crush it." But deep inside, even he could not kill the thought that haunted him at night. What if the humans cannot be crushed? Meanwhile, Captain Cole stood at the bridge, watching the stars. Around him, new ships were forming. Freighters turned warships, patrol boats turned raiders. Humanity was becoming a fleet. He whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning. The fire is spreading, and soon it will consume the Empire." The stars outside seemed to flicker, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath, because the humans were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for survival, and survival makes monsters out of men. Asterisk. The Turning Tide, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The war had burned for months. Human colonies still fought. Haelor fleets still struck. But something strange was happening in the shadows of the galaxy that the Haelors were not used to fear. And yet, fear had begun to spread not among humans, but among the Empire's other subjects. In the Lyran borderlands, a smuggler whispered in a tavern. The humans fight with fire in their eyes. They destroyed 60 ships with nothing but one trap. Maybe they are the storm we've been waiting for. On a Draven mining world, workers passed rumors. If humans can stand, maybe so can we. And in the hidden halls of the Vayari Confederacy, alien leaders argued. "We have lived under Haelor boots for too long," one said. "If humans rise and win, they may lead us all." Meanwhile, on the Defiance, Captain Adrian Cole read a secret transmission. It flickered across the screen, coded and unsigned. "Supplies. We'll be waiting at the third moon of Vayara." No names. No questions. Cole narrowed his eyes. "Aliens are helping us." Lieutenant Harris frowned. "Why would they risk it?" Cole answered softly, because the Haelors made enemies everywhere. And now, those enemies smell blood. The next mission proved it. When the Defiance entered the Veyara system, crates floated in orbit, weapons, fuel, medical supplies, all left by unknown hands. The crew stared in silence. A small note blinked on the com screen. Burn the Empire. For all of us. But help did not come without risk. The Haelors soon realized something was wrong. Their fleets reported missing shipments. Their patrols found colonies refusing tribute. Their allies were turning silent. Lord Vaer's fury shook the throne room. They dare betray us? Because of humans? Then let the galaxy burn with them. He slammed his clawed hand down. Bring more fleets. Bring fire to every human world. We will drown them in ash. The Empire struck harder than ever. On Mars, Haelor warships bombarded the surface. Red dust rose in clouds as cities collapsed. On Titan, their armies marched through the ice tunnels, slaughtering whole families. On Proxima, orbital platforms burned like falling stars. The humans bled. They screamed. But they did not kneel. And then, something happened that no one expected. In the middle of a battle near the rings of Saturn, a human colony ship was cornered by Haelor cruisers. Just as the enemy prepared to fire, new signatures appeared on the scanners. Dozens of ships, not human, Draven vessels. Lyran raiders. Veyari frigates. They opened fire not on the humans, but on the Haelors. The Haelor cruisers exploded under the sudden storm. The colony ship escaped, escorted to safety by alien allies who spoke no words, only gave a single salute before vanishing back into the void. On the Defiance, the crew erupted in shock when they heard the report. Aliens saved us? One whispered, "They're fighting with us?" Another asked. Captain Cole stood tall. His voice carried across the bridge. "No, they are not fighting with us. Not yet. They are fighting because we showed them it was possible. We lit the fire, and now it spreads." In the Haelor capital, the news was poison. "Other species are rising," a trembling admiral reported. "Our tribute fleets are attacked. Colonies refuse orders. And humans, they are not alone anymore." Lord Vaer's face twisted in rage. His voice shook the hall. "Then we will crush not just humans, but all who follow them. We will show the galaxy what happens to those who hope." But for the first time, his words felt hollow. His admirals did not cheer. They only bowed in silence, knowing the tide was shifting. And across the stars, in hidden caves, in underground cities, in secret fleets. Whispers spread. The humans are rising. The Empire is shaking. The tide is turning. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain. Cole looked out at the stars. He knew the war was far from over. The Haelors still had power, still had fleets that could crush worlds. But now, for the first time, humanity was not fighting alone. He whispered, almost to himself. They wanted us silent. Instead, we gave the galaxy a voice. The crew stood. Behind him, silent but unbroken. Outside, the stars flickered, no longer cold, no longer distant. They looked like torches. Torches of rebellion. Asterisk. The last stand, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The galaxy was on fire. Haelor fleets still moved like storms, burning colonies, silencing worlds. But for every planet they crushed, two more rose against them. Humanity had given the galaxy something the Haelors never understood. Hope. On Earth. The skies above New York, filled with ships freighters turned into warcraft, colony vessels now bristling with guns. Families waved as their sons and daughters boarded, ready to carry the fight into the stars. On Mars, engineers worked day and night, building weapons the Haelors had never seen. Rail cannons that could pierce through capital ships, drones that swarmed like hornets. And in hidden space docks across the colonies, A new fleet was born. At its center stood the Defiance. Scarred, battered, but unbroken. Captain Adrian Cole stood on the bridge, his uniform torn at the edges, his eyes burning. With purpose. His crew gathered around him. "This is it," Cole said. "The Haelors believe fear rules the stars. Today, we prove them wrong. Today, we bring fire to their throne." A cheer shook the bridge. The last battle had begun. The humans were not alone. Draven frigates slipped out of warp, their spiked hulls gleaming. Lyran raiders darted like shadows, weapons crackling. Vayari ships glided silently, carrying weapons forbidden for centuries. One by one, alien voices spoke across the combs. For the humans, for freedom, for the end of the Empire. The galaxy had come. The Haelors were ready. Lord Vaer watched from his massive flagship, the Bloodfang, a warship larger than any human city. Thousands of cannons glowed along its hull. "Let them come," he growled. "We will bury them beneath our fire." The Haelor fleet stretched across the stars, hundreds of cruisers, dreadnoughts, and carriers. A wall of steel and fury. It was the largest battle the galaxy had ever seen. The fleets clashed near the Haelor capital world. Space erupted in light. Human ships darted between giants, striking like knives. Alien allies fought alongside them. Every shot a defiance of centuries of fear. The Defiance led the charge. Target their command ships. Cole ordered. Weapons fired. Hulls cracked. Haelor dreadnoughts burst into fire, but the Empire fought back. The Bloodfang moved through the battle like a beast. Its cannons tore through human cruisers, splitting them apart in single blasts. Entire squadrons vanished in flame. On the bridge of the Defiance, alarms screamed. "They're targeting us." Harris shouted. Cole's voice was steady. "Then we make them bleed first." The battle raged for hours. Ships on both sides burned and broke. Space filled with wreckage, drifting bodies, broken machines. But the humans did not retreat. Every loss only pushed them harder. Every fallen ship was answered by another strike, another scream of fury. For the first time in history, the Haelors saw an enemy who would not bow. At last, the Defiance broke through the enemy line. Ahead, the Bloodfang loomed like a mountain. Of steel. Cole stood tall. His voice rang across the comms. "All ships, focus fire on the flagship. Take it down, and the Empire falls." The galaxy answered. Lasers. Missiles. Cannons. Drones. Every ship fired as one. The Bloodfang shook. Its shields flared. Its armor cracked. Lord Vaer roared, his claws cutting into the throne. "These humans, they are only one world. How can they stand against us?" But deep in his heart, he already knew, because humans never fought alone. They fought for each other. The Defiance charged, even as its hull burned. Cole's crew knew what was coming. They did not hesitate. "Ram the Bloodfang," Cole ordered softly. The crew looked at him. No one spoke. Then one by one, they nodded. The ship turned, engines screaming. The Defiance became a spear of fire. It tore into the Bloodfang. Explosions ripped across the Haelor flagship. Fire swallowed the sky. Silence followed. When the flames cleared, the Bloodfang was gone. The Haelor fleet, leaderless, broke apart. Ships fled. Colonies rebelled. The Empire collapsed in a single night. And across the stars, billions watched in awe. The humans had done it. They had stood against the greatest empire in the galaxy, and won. On Earth, families wept for the fallen. Colonies lit candles for those who would never return. But grief was not despair, it was pride, because the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had not only survived, they had shown everyone what it meant to fight. In the ruins of the Haelor capital, alien leaders gathered with human commanders. The war was over. The empire was ash. A Draven captain raised a glass. To humanity, the spark that lit the fire. And for the first time, the galaxy did not bow to the Haelors. They bowed to the humans not far above. In the stars, wreckage of the Defiance drifted. It was broken, silent, but to every world that had suffered, it was more than a ship dot. It was a symbol, a whisper carried across the galaxy. They attacked a human ship and paid the ultimate price. Asterisk.